Let's just kind of conclude his paragraph here. He says, nor do divine pronouncements on the part of preceding prophets offer him any witness. On the contrary, he perverts almost all the testimonies of the Old and New Testaments by making them into fabrications of his own, as can be seen by anyone who examines his law. It was therefore a shrewd decision on his part to forbid his followers to read the Old and New Testaments, lest these books convict him of falsity. It is thus clear that those who place any faith in his words believe foolishly.
All right, so you had a few issues there. You had the issue of Muhammad coming in the power of his arms, and he's been called the prophet of the sword. But Muhammad said in the hadith, he said, "My livelihood is under the shade of my spear." In other words, that's how I make a living, by going out and fighting. Muhammad said that I have been made victorious with terror. That's in their most trusted collection of narrations from Muhammad. That's Sahih al-Bukhari. But he said, I have been made victorious with terror. Terror was his weapon of choice in triumphing over his enemies. And when Muslims would win a battle, it was, you see, Allah sent us help and he gave us victory. If they lost a battle, it was, oh, we lost the battle because, someone did something wrong, and it's that person's fault that Allah is not blessing us in victory. But Allah is clearly behind Muhammad going out and violently subjugating Arabia, and the goal was the violent subjugation of the entire world. Muhammad said he'd been given a vision where he was shown the entire world, and that Islam had achieved victory and controlled all of it. So yeah, that was the goal, and the means was actually going out, marching and fighting, and winning those victories was a sign that God was on your side, unless you lost, in which case it was evidence that God was mad at you over something.
I just want to kind of interject here, because no doubt when you criticize Islam, I'm sure you have many people who say, look, I could say the same thing about Christianity, and that was an example that you just brought up that I thought, well, that's kind of true of the Jews too. Like when we read the Old Testament, if they won, they attribute it to God's blessing. If they didn't, they attribute it to God's punishment. So how if you're going to argue that against Islam, how is that not an argument against God's chosen people?
Oh, well, I'm not using that as an argument against Islam. It makes sense if you really believe you're doing something for God and you're successful. It makes sense to think, you see, God blessed what I did. And if something goes wrong, it's to think, oh, God's upset over something. I mean, as far as Muslims will use this as evidence. Look, Muhammad won this battle. Muhammad won this battle. Well, what happened when he lost a battle? Oh, well, God was mad at him or something. That can't be used as evidence. And I would say, I would say not from Jews, not from Christians, not from Muslims. It's being, because it's put forward. Look, the Muslims were totally outnumbered at the Battle of Badr. There were 3 times as many unbelievers as they were, and yet they won. Clearly, Muslims won that because Allah had blessed them, not because Muhammad promised that anyone who died in that battle was immediately going to paradise, where he's going to, get his virgins and so on. It must just be because Allah helped them. Well, what happened to the next battle, the Battle of Uhud, where Muslims were crushed? Oh, it's because Allah was mad at them over something. So yeah, you can believe all of that, but as far as using this, you see, God is with us. God is with us, and because Muslims really look a lot to the early stages of Islam, where Muhammad conquers Arabia, and then his companions conquer more, and then over the next couple of centuries they go all the way across northern Africa up into Europe in the west, and then in the east they go all the way out until they're in India, in the centuries there. So look at that miraculous spread of Islam. It must be true. And the question there is, well, what happens when it stops? And it gets stopped. Oh, because Allah was mad at us because we weren't we weren't enforcing Islamic law the way we should, so He's not blessing us anymore. Well, you can always say that. Point is, no evidential value.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching this clip. You can click here to watch the full episode. And I want to say a big thanks to our sponsors and to our amazing patrons for making all of this possible. Please do us a favor before you go. Click that subscribe button and then the bell. And that way YouTube will be forced to let you know every time we put out a new episode.